99% of UPSC prep feels like you are studying. Only 1% actually moves you forward. The trick? Knowing the difference. At VisionIAS Delhi GS Foundation, that 1% is the entire design. Classes that connect facts to frameworks. So study becomes thinking. PT 365 and Mains 365 that teach what matters, not what exists. Tests that turn mistakes into patterns, not panic. Mentorship that trims noise before it turns into burnout. A structure where even revision has intent. Stop calling it hard work if it is not progress. Join VisionIAS GS Foundation course, also available through live or online classes. Batches starting at Karol Bagh, Delhi on 12 November at 8 am and 25 November at 5 pm. For more information, visit our website or call us on the given numbers.
If you see through all of them, as we'll progress, we'll also see they have put things which are directly related to day and day, interaction with the society, right? Such as, so that's exactly what UPSC expects from you. It expects from you to be in a position where in information you can see patterns and use those patterns. When you try to learn the laws of it, you call it astrophysics and so on and so forth, right? So that's your astronomy part. Please read the syllabus and apply the word that you learned and see whether now you can say more than what the syllabus is. Good afternoon, and sorry for being 14 minutes late. The session was supposed to start at 2. So I believe most of you know the purpose of why we have come together, which is how to prepare for your UPSC Civil Services GS part, right? And we'll also talk about the foundation course and the process, but I would not like to start with the courses that we are offering. It's more important to first of all figure out how you should proceed with the process of civil services examination, irrespective of whether you're joining a course or not, right? So that's the perspective that I'll talk with. The course details maybe others might tell, or in the course of time they might share with you. Okay. So I'm a faculty with VisionIAS since almost its origin way back in 2009. It's almost been 16 years, and I've seen almost every batch which has gone through these years. It's not every, because we have so many batches, so obviously there are other faculties as well. And I'm involved with geography, ecology, environment, disaster management, and so on. Earlier it used to be more things, but then gradually things reduced. I have myself given my interview. I'm an engineer by education, like most of the people in VisionIAS. Okay, all the teachers who will come today, I think even after me, both of them are also engineers, though one of them is about history, the other one is economy. Even our polity teacher is an engineer, and science teacher is supposed to be an engineer. Okay. So on. Even our founder is an engineer, right? Why? Because you have many engineers appearing for, professional background people coming into civil services. So I think that's one of the causes. But it's not about talking about that background. Just for the sake of knowing, can I just ask you people your backgrounds, to starting with you? Just the background. What graduation or post graduation? The final thing. Oh wow, integrated masters in chemistry. Great. I know somebody. She was a student in 2017, MBBS, joined PG, first year, dropped PG, didn't tell her parents, directly came to Delhi in the vacation, started preparing. Next year she got 180 some rank, now she's an IPS in UP. And once she got selected, then only she told her parent, I'm not doing my PG anymore. Okay, so ठीक है, अच्छा है, आप भी ऐसा कर सकते हैं. Yes, you there. BSc Physics. Physics, did you say? Wow, I have scientists around me. Yeah, yes, great. You? PG in education. Great. Graduation. You're doing your post graduation, right? Eco. Graduation. How many of you are still doing your graduation? Still, okay. So which year are you people preparing for? No, which year are you preparing for? Based on whichever respective class you are in. 27. Okay. Anyone for 28? I didn't ask you, sorry. BA. Okay. And you are preparing for 27, 28, 27, 28, something like this. Okay. Good. So you people, all of you have more than a year at hand, right? And hence we'll start the conversation from the beginning, right? Because had the conversation, let's say somewhere happened in August of a year, and next year itself students want to appear, there are few things that I don't suggest because you have lesser time. But you people have accurate amount of time. I shouldn't say you have ample time. Ample is a misnomer. You never have ample time in life, right? But yes, you have the amount of time that is needed, and if you do your preparation in the right direction, it will be good, right? So having understood your background, right, slightly, what do you think, if I ask you, what do you think civil services require? Though I'll come directly to the geography very soon, but I'm trying to take you there by asking you these questions. For example, if I ask you, read civil services examination. So just before you read that whole thing, civil service and civil service examination, what do you think it requires from you? What kind of a person are they looking for? The exam process tells you they require a overall educated person. They don't need specialists in a given direction, right? They are not looking for economists or physics or chemistry or engineers or doctors. They are looking for people who are educated overall about the broader things in life, right? And for that they have made a syllabus, and I'm assuming some of you know the syllabus, which is they have included arts parts, and they have included science part, and they have included, you know, other things, ethics, etc. But if you see through all of them, as we'll progress, we'll also see they have put things which are directly related to day and day, you know, interaction with the society, right? Such as they have given you, if you see the prelim syllabus, it has 7 topics. It says polity, economy, history, geography, environment, current affairs, science and tech, right? And if you see the 4 GS papers, the first one talks about history and society and geography. The second one talks about polity and international relations. The third one talks about economy, ecology, environment, a bit of geography, disaster management, internal security, science and tech. And the last one talks about ethics. So 4 papers for your mains. And the 5th paper is your essay paper, where they give you different topics. Nowadays they give you a lot many philosophical topics and want to see how do you see or perceive the world, how you approach the world. It's not about any problem, it's more about how you approach a problem. So philosophies are applied in approaching problems or approaching situations, right? So people have different philosophies, and through those philosophies they approach. So that's where the essay paper comes in. And then you have an optional thing which might vary between you, okay? Now, so when you say educated, civil services exam requires a decently educated mind which is trainable for life in civil services. So there are two words, decently educated and trainable, right? Now when you say decently educated, क्या मतलब है? That's what we just said, that they have given you a range of syllabus and from that they want you to be. So you have to be widely, generalist जिसको हम बोलते हैं, generalist is the way. Alright, and in that generalist thing, they have given you different subjects. Right? Now when you educate yourself in any domain, आप क्या करते हैं? If I ask you, what do you do in the process of educating yourself in a given field? Because that's why I asked you, आप लोगों ने अलग अलग graduation का background किया है, you have different background. What do you do in your process of education? Chemistry, physics, education itself, graduation, post-graduation, so on. क्या कर रहे हैं इसमें? What are you trying to do? If you just broadly, if I ask you, what is in one sentence, what are you trying to do in all those sessions and years that you have spent? Connect. You're connecting, and before you connect, you have to accumulate what you have to connect. So you're trying to get some knowledge, different information, and try to connect that information, right? And when you connect an information, you get a pattern. I hope you understand. You understand what we mean by patterns, right? So any subject that you see that you are studying, you're trying to figure out patterns. What is the pattern of things happening in this? What is the pattern of things happening in molecules, right? Which forces are applied? Physics, what are the laws? How those laws are governing? What is the common element between the laws? How those laws are different? Which are the fundamental laws? Isn't it? In education, you are trying to figure out, what is the pattern of learning in kids or grown-ups, right? And how in different subjects those patterns might vary. What is the common element? What's the different element? समझ में आ रहा है? So you're basically trying to figure out pattern from information. Do we agree? ठीक है ना? And the ability to figure out pattern from information is an ability that an educated mind develops. Figuring out pattern in randomness. Should we do a small test to check this? Are you ready? Let's do this. ठीक है? I did this exercise in the class just before this one. You do this. Try to read what is written on the board. Can you read each letter? Letters, alphabets, numbers. Can you read them? Can you read me the first 6, 7, 8 letters or alphabets? Read me quickly. 7, H, 1, 5, M, 3, 5, 5, 4, G, E. Continue to read and it goes on. Is there a pattern in this? If you just read the thing that you have read, is there a pattern? Yes or no? Is there a pattern in 7, 5, 1, 7, H, 1, 5, M, 3, 5, 5, 4, G, 3? Is there a pattern? Between the letters, there is no pattern. But when you see the group, they show you a pattern. And that pattern matches to something that you already know. Can you read me the first 4 letters together and say what word is it trying to be like? This. The second one. Third one. Can you see the pattern? Can you see the pattern in the randomness? Why are you able to do this? One, because your mind is trained to see patterns. Second, you know the base word. The information of the base word is already there. You have not read it now. That word, this message is already there in your head and you are trying to match this pattern. And from this pattern, you are trying to say, this is what they are probably trying to say. Do we get it? So this is, why were you able to do this? Because your brain is now trained to figure out patterns and match them and bring out something common. And the moment you crack this code, now you can read the whole paragraph. Can you? Try kare. Read it. Loud. This message serves to prove how our minds can do amazing things, impressive things. In the beginning, It was hard. But now on this line, your mind is reading it automatically. Can you see? Can you see how easy, once you figure out the pattern, things start falling in line and you are able to connect them. This is what education does. So you are able to see flows. Do we get it? So that's exactly what UPSC expects from you. It expects from you to be in a position where in information you can see patterns and use those patterns to apply them and come up with something else. Do we get it? So this is what we say, that education is about identifying patterns in what initially seems random and using this pattern to improve life, because education's purpose is to improve life. Is that okay? That's the first part. Now, when we go back, we find that civil services exam requires decently educated minds, which is trainable for life in civil services, right? Trainable versus rigid mind. Are you aware what's a rigid mind? A rigid mind does not open up to ideas. It remains close. It will say, nahi, yahi hai, not open. But as a civil servant, you can't work like that. You need an open mind, where when you get an information, you should be in a position to create something new, right? Something new which might not be similar to what might have earlier been seen, and give a solution, because every situation expects a different and pointed solution. Aisa nahi hai, you can't bring a solution from outside and apply. If you bring an American solution and try to apply it in a village in India, might not work. I hope you get this. So you need to create solutions, right? And creation requires creativity, the ability of creativity. Okay? So first you have information, second you have pattern, third you have creativity. Do we understand this? Now, what is creativity? A flexible mind or a trainable mind has the ability of creativity. So if I say, what is creativity? If I ask you in simple words, let me do this basic, then I'll take you to geography. We'll run there quickly. Once you understand what we are trying to figure out, things will happen. Trainable versus rigid. If I give you a rigid mind, it will only see this. It will just say, okay, this information was written there, that's it. It doesn't change, nothing changes, this is fixed. I won't accept anything more than this. Whereas, and maybe it might go maximum up to this, and they will say, oh, on the basis of my experience, I can connect this knowledge and I can say, these are the patterns and there are no more patterns. That's a rigid mind. But what's a creative mind? What's a trainable mind? It's a mind which can train itself to do newer things, right? That's where creativity lies. In the same dot, seeing a different pattern. This is creativity. Do we get it? And ultimately knowing that everything is connected to everything else, right? So activities in economy are related to activities in polity, and activities in polity are related to activities in society, and they are related to things in science and tech. So if I do a good development in science and tech, it can affect my economy, it can affect my society, it can affect my polity, and people will grow. I hope you get it, right? So the connection between them, that's your wisdom. Take. So now, for example, now why am I doing all this to you? Because when you start preparing for civil services, the first thing that you will come across is knowledge. Books. Books will give you knowledge. Do you get? But in the books, the different information which is given, they might give you some fixed patterns. But then you will have to identify some more patterns. And those pattern is something that I call making your own synopsis. Your synopsis is the pattern. So you read your basic book, which is the knowledge. From the knowledge, you create a synopsis. That's the pattern that you see. Synopsis, you understand? Flowcharts, right? So you're making a flowchart of the whole chapter. Oh, this chapter is trying to give me this pattern. Do we get it? So that is your second part, seeing the patterns based on your experience. And when you revise it, the more number of times you revise, the pattern becomes embedded in your head. Once you are done that, that's when it comes the next level, creating answers. Right? Creating answer lies here. It's the same knowledge, almost same pattern seen by everyone, but answers from everyone become different. And if you are able to create an answer which is different, your marks will go up. That's your mains answer writing. People ask me, sir, कैसा करना है? Same ही book से कैसा हो सकता है? Same dot से अलग pattern कैसा हो सकता है? Maybe here you are seeing a cat. Somebody might see a rabbit between them. Do you get it? So it's how you are connecting those dots, how you are connecting your information. Create answers and apply them and get your marks. So UPSC, read, make patterns, which is your synopsis, write answers. This is all that UPSC requires. And ultimately, connect everything in your head so that if they ask you anything, anywhere, you should be in a position to connect and not say, sir, I don't know. And if you don't know, then you should say, I don't know. That's okay. Right? So 3-4 stages of your preparation. First, source, books, knowledge. Second, patterns. It's not only the book, but when you read that chapter, you should see the pattern in the book. You should see the synopsis in the chapter. You should see the flow chart in the chapter. Once you have done this, then comes your answer writing. From the flow chart comes your answer writing. Create new patterns in terms of answer. You get 3 stages and ultimate. That's how your preparation has to go on, if you ask me, for UPSC. And if you are able to do this, good enough. That's it. Any question? So you understand this, the process you have to follow in this education thing, or in this process of preparing for UPSC. How do you go about it? This is what we are talking. How to go about. Now, what to go about? Right now, I'll only talk of geography. Okay? So if I ask you geography, as I said, I'm not a geography background person, but I have done geography for UPSC, right? And geography was my optional also, and I did decently well, all that story. And I did my GS geography in a very short span of time because I was able to identify important things and I worked on them. Same ways, if I ask you, so initially I didn't know about anything about geography, but if I ask you, what is geography? Okay, can you give me some hints from where do you think geography will start? First of all, will it include the earth? Yes. Is it about the earth? Yes. Is the earth alone? Or is it surrounded by other similar things? What do you call that group of things? Solar system, to begin with. On the larger scale, you have a bigger word, right? But solar system. Is the solar system alone? No, it is part of something bigger. Galaxy. Galaxy is part of something bigger. Universe. So where does the story start? Universe. Right? We're trying to understand what all is in geography. Geography mein kya hai? What all is included in geography, right? So if we write the things which in geography includes, geography starts from universe and comes to earth. That's the first part of geography, right? And this part we also call it as astronomy or space science. Okay? When you try to learn the laws of it, you call it astrophysics and so on and so forth, right? So that's your astronomy part, right? Then once you come to earth, what is there on the earth? Quickly, what is the earth made up of? Living and non-living things, right? So which ones come first, living or non-living? Non-living. Which are the non-living things on the earth? Quickly, give me answers. You know, there's nothing new I'm asking. Bolo. Non-livings. Sabse bada kya hai? And when you're giving me an answer, think, whatever I'm going to say, is it part of something bigger or that's the largest? Yes, so on the earth, what is the biggest? One is water bodies or land and atmosphere, right? Now, land, where is the land? Above water, below water, or both? Both. So you have continents, islands, which are above water, and you have sea floor, which is below water. Do we agree? Right now, when you go beyond in the continents and islands and sea floors, for example, on the continents, what do you find? Continent and island, what do you find? Mountains, आपने पहले शायद बोला था ना? Mountains, plains, plateaus, etc. And then in them you might have smaller bodies. Same ways when you come to the sea floor, there also you have lot many structures. Some of them you don't know right now, like mid-oceanic ridges are there. ठीक है, चलो अच्छा. Then in atmosphere, which phenomena you see in the atmosphere, or things that you get to see in the atmosphere? If I ask you, do you get to see something? Acha, one is you feel. What do you feel? Wind. And do you see something? Clouds and rains, cloud, rains, etc. Fog, and so on. The list is long, right? And same way in the water bodies also you see. What do you see in the water body? Some movements. Bolo? Waves. And the biggest ones. Tsunamis. And so on. Yes or no? So when you see the non-living part of the earth, these are the things that you get to see. Is that okay? Now these are the outcomes or they are the process. A mountain is the outcome or it's the result, or it is the process which forms the mountain. What do you think? Mountain kya hai? It's the outcome of some processes, or it is the process? It is an outcome. Very good, hai na? So mountains are, and all of them by that logic are outcomes. In geography, the outcomes are called as features. What is the word for outcomes? Features. Okay, and outcomes are a result of some process. Without a process, you can't have a outcome. What is the word for process in geography? Phenomenon. We call them as phenomenons. So you have phenomenon and you have features. What is the phenomena? That's the process. What is the outcome? That is the feature. Okay. So for example, if I just ask you a thing, evaporation is what? It's a outcome or it is the process? It's a process. So evaporation is a phenomena, whereas cloud is outcome. So cloud is the feature. Mountain building, process. Mountain, outcome. So are you able to differentiate between outcomes and the process? What do we call the process in geography? What is the word for process? Phenomena. And what is the word for outcome? Feature. And a process always requires energy. That's basic law. You can't have a process without energy. So for all of this, there are energies also. Where are the energies for the earth? What do you think? Where are the energies which are making things happen on the earth? There is some energy inside the earth, right? We call it as the energy of the core. Then there is some energy coming from the sun. We call it as insolation. Do we get? And then there are other energies also in the form of gravitational energy, magnetic energy, right? Tectonic energies, right? Which are happening again because of the internal heat and all. Okay. So when you talk of these non-living things, there are energies leading to phenomena and phenomena leading to features. This is the flow of the non-living part of the earth. We call it as physical geography. Sorry, I have a bit of a sore throat, so I might cough at times. I'm sorry for that. All right. So we understand what physical geography mainly entails. For GS geography, it is the land, the water bodies, and the atmosphere, and the energies, the phenomena, and the features related to them. That's what you mainly study in physical part of geography. Okay? And then there will be details of that, right? I won't take you into the details as of now, but some of them you know by name, so we'll talk of, and as we talk, we'll get more of it. Okay? Can I assume we get this? Now, this, when I say physical, is the non-living physical part. Okay? Physical geography also includes another part right? So physical but non-living, and then you have physical living part. Which are the living parts in physical geography or on the earth? If I ask you, which are those big groups of living things on the earth? We mainly divide them into two groups. Hint tha ye. Living things divided into two types of life forms: oxygen producing, oxygen consuming plants and animals. Simple bhasha. Okay. So you can divide this living into plants and animal, right? And living, the word for this is bio. Life. The word for life is bio. And when you talk of the diversity of life, the word becomes biodiversity. So biodiversity is nothing but the physical living part of the earth. Is it geography? Not for GS, because it is so important that now they have separated and made another subject out of it in your prelims and mains. They call it as ecology, environment, biodiversity, climate change. Okay, but when you do the same thing in your optional, there will be two chapters in your optional paper 1 called as environmental geography and biogeography. They include this. So as far as the optional goes, they are part of geography. As far as GS goes, they are related to geography, but they are not done only within geography. They are done separately. Why? Because they are important. Now, why are they important? Because this living physical thing is the relation between earth and human. Which side are humans? Non-living side or living side? Living side. Where are we? Are we part of biodiversity? Yes, but we are special. We call ourselves as humans, and we flow out of plants or animals? Huh? Animal. This is where human part of the earth comes in. Okay. So geography, right now we are just discussing what all is included in geography, right? So there was a physical non-living geography, there is a physical living geography, and in physical living geography, which is your biodiversity, right? And this whole, for the biodiversity, this whole thing, all these features, non-living features, they become what we call as environment. This is environment. The non-living physical geography becomes the environment for the living biodiversity, because the biodiversity lives in land, water and atmosphere. उनका वही environment है. Do we get it? And the relation between the environment and the biodiversity, and the study of this is called ecology. The study of the relation of environment and biodiversity. Do we get it? Right? So this is where the ecology comes in, and that's why they have made this as a new subject. Ecology, environment, biodiversity. They have added climate change also to it, but we'll talk of that later. Right? Now, what is the human part in this? So ये तो हो गया physical part of geography. Then comes the human, living part. Living may be human part. So if I ask you, what have the human beings done on the earth since we have come to the earth? By the way, when did Homo sapiens come to the earth? 2 to 3 lakh years before present. That's Homo sapiens. I'm not talking of hominids, I'm not talking of Homo erectus and all. Homo sapiens are as old as 2 to 3. What have we done? Where did we come up? We came up in a continent, Africa. From Africa, where did we go? We spread everywhere. So we spread from Africa to the rest of the world, and hence the first thing that human beings did was migration from where we were. Second, once we migrated, then we settled. Settlement, migration, settlement, and once we settled, we increased our population. These are the three activities that human beings did on the in the process of spreading on the earth. And presently we are almost on every continent, everywhere. Isn't it? So if I ask you, which are the three things that humans did to grow their society? Three things? Tell me. Migration, settlement, population. And hence this part of geography is called as social geography. क्या बोलते हैं इसको? Social geography. In human geography, this is your social geography as far as GS geography goes. Right? There will be more things. I'm not talking of optional right now. I'm just talking of GS geography. So these are the things that humans did for growing their society. Whereas to make the society live by the resources around them, what did we do? We utilized the resources. Right? Which resources? The resources which were there in the non-living physical geography as well as living physical geography. The resources of the biodiversity and the resources of the land, water and atmosphere. Okay. So one thing that humans did was social. The other is use of resources. And what use? Wasteful use or efficient use? Efficient use. Efficient use, I should say allocation and use. Efficient allocation and use. And somebody is from economics, if I'm right? आप में से कोई? What is the definition of economy or economics? One of the basic definitions of economy. Efficient allocation of resources. So this is what you call as economy. In simple terms. Economy is nothing but use of resources. If I ask you, which are the resources that we have? Resources कौन सा है बताइए? And where do the resources come from? The word itself tells you. Resource means something that you can source again and again. So there's a source from where you resource, get the material again and again. Right? Which are the sources? We generally call the sources as mines. When you're talking of mineral resources, you call them as biotic resources, so it becomes the forest. For biotic resource, the source is forest or biodiversity, and for mineral resource, the source is mines. Yes or no? And for renewable resources, the source is surrounding. You get it from the sun, you get it from the air, you get it from the water. I hope you get it. Okay, so you have resources coming from different sources, mines, biodiversity, surrounding. Now, these resources, when you get, you can divide them into forest resource. One. Second, you can call them as soil resource. This is basically agriculture. Actually, soil, forest also comes from this. But when you are cultivating from the soil, you call it as agriculture. When you cultivate, when it naturally grows, it is forest. Right? And then you have the third one, which comes from mines. These are mainly your minerals. So forest gives you the biotic resources, agricultural resources or mineral resources. These three activities together, where you just get the resources, you call them as primary activity. That's the definition of primary. Okay, and when you use those resources and create something out of it, क्या बोलते हैं उसको? When you apply all these resources, right? Let me change the color. So when you apply these resources and value add to this, we call it as manufacturing. Value addition of goods. Okay? So manufacturing is value adding to raw material. When you value add to raw materials, physical raw material, you call production of goods. And that production of good is called manufacturing. That is secondary industry. Right? So you have primary, economic activity and you have secondary economic activity. And then you might have other things that you do to promote all your economic and social activity, like education, health, administration, research, transportation, communication. All of this we put together call as tertiary activities. Okay? So when you are value adding by a service, you call it tertiary. When you are value adding by goods, you are calling manufacturing. And when you are getting those raw goods, that is primary. Right? These are the three major sectors of your economy. Okay? So tertiary. So do we understand that how the resource related geography leads to primary, secondary and tertiary? We call this as economic geography. So human geography technically has two parts for your GS. One is social, the second is economic. That is for GS. There are more parts, but I'm not taking you there. Political hai, bahut cultural hai, bahut sara geography ka part. But we don't need this. So do we understand what is geography? Broadly, if I ask you, where does it start? Quickly. Geography starts from, so if there is a question about space and space objects, that is geography. Then Earth. If there is a question about Earth, its shape, where it is, what is the size, that is geography. Then if they ask you anything about land, atmosphere, ocean, their resources, etc., that is geography. Then any energy, any phenomena, any feature, geography. Uska aage bolo, living organism. So if they are asking you plants, animals, biodiversity, that is geography. If they are asking you what lives where, the environment, that is geography. If they are asking you relation between them, ecology, that is also related to geography. Though I will not say they are geography for GS now, but they are related to geography. If you understand geography well, you will understand these well. Right? And then next, human part. In human, social. What all is there in social? Spread, that is migration. Second, settle. Third, populate. And then the resources that we use. So primary, secondary, tertiary. So do you understand what is the broader framework of geography? Right? What is geography? Samajh mein aa gaya pakka? Any question, please ask me so that I can answer that. Else I'll take you further. Nothing? Now, how much of GS geography out of geography is there? What will tell us in GS geography what all is there? Actually, whatever we have done was only GS geography. I didn't touch anything else in terms of geography. If I was doing the same session for optional, I would speak something more, but not here. Not needed because aapka wahan interest nahi hai. Do we get it? So broadly, whatever we have done is broadly your GS geography and GS ecology environment background. Right? Two of your prelims syllabus things. Right? Now, how important is geography in your prelims, mains and interview? That's the next question. What do you think? What is the importance? Are they important? Do they ask you geography and related things in prelims, mains, interview? Have you seen some stats? देखा होगा आप लोग ने आजकल तो stats का दुनिया है. Lot of stats is there. यहाँ वहाँ है ना, बहुत कुछ पूछते हैं. My stats differ from the stats that you see on the net. Why? I'll tell you in a moment. If you see on the board, there are 3 bars that I have made for every year. Which are the 3 bars? General analysis, that's there in the market. My analysis, what I feel is related to geography directly or indirectly. And lastly, GS geography plus ecology environment questions put together out of 100. How many questions have come in the last few years? This is what I want you to understand. Starting from 25. General analysis was 13 questions. My analysis is 31 questions. And geography plus ecology environment 36 questions. Sir, what do you mean by your analysis? You will understand in 5 minutes, don't worry. I'll show you all the questions and I'll ask you whether this is related to geography or not. You answer. If you feel it is, their analysis doesn't matter to me. Why? Because for general analysis in the market, they can't put one question in two topics. But most of the question of UPSC now are not related to one topic. Most of them are related to two or three. For example, they might be related to geography, they might be related to ecology. At the same time, they might be related to economy and current also. 5 statements, different. Now, where does the person who's analyzing that question puts it depends on his own preference. If he's a current person, he will say, current का question है, तो मैं तो geography का हूँ, तो मैं क्या बोलूँगा? Geography का है, क्यों? Even if it is related, I will say it is geography. Right? Because if you know the background, it will help. Right? So, next, 24. And general analysis, 22. My analysis, 29. Geography and ecology, 45. Now, if you see just the last 4 years, 38, 41, 45, 36. The average comes to somewhere around 37, 38 questions every year out of 100 related to geography or ecology or environment. This is the relevance of geography presently. And geography is the background for ecology environment also. Ecology environment is not the background for geography because ecology environment grows on geography. Okay? So, and the same way this whole analysis is there. So you can see, I'll just go 4-5 years. So seeing from here itself, you can see 38. I have said this. Okay? That's your prelims. Now I'll show you in a while these questions and ask you whether those 36 of them are 36 or 48 hai? 36. And if you want, I can show you 24 also. I have all those in my Excel sheet. And you yourself figure out whether those are right or wrong. Because until you understand the importance, you will not give it the real weightage that it requires. ठीक है, आपको लगता है नहीं इससे पूछता है उससे पूछता है, सब तो बोल रहा है ज्योग्राफी का 13 है, आप खुद देखो कितना है. अभी तो आपने सिलेबस बताया, syllabus as in the broader framework. So if those questions can relate to the things that we just saw, they are geography. ठीक है, चलो. Mains, how many questions? GS paper 1, 2025, 125 plus marks. There's one question which is disputed, or I wouldn't say disputed, shared between sociology and geography, or social issues and geography, related to migration and something. Okay, if I consider that, then it is plus, otherwise it is 125 out of 250, 100 out of 250, 100 out of 250. If you see all of them, 19 onwards, 40% of your question in paper 1 were geography questions. And इसमें कोई ecology environment नहीं है. Ecology environment doesn't come in paper 1. ठीक है, that comes in paper 3. वो बात का बात है. Alright. Same ways, when you see paper 3 also, there also you'll find that geography, as in human geography, agriculture, industry, infrastructure, services, ecology environment, disaster management, together give you around 110, 120 marks of question in paper 3 also. ठीक है, we will see, right? आप घर जाओ खुद देख लो. Agriculture, Indian industry, Indian transport, Indian power sector, ecology environment, disaster management. Just add up those questions. You will see at least 110, 120 out of 250 is geography related. Paper 3. Right? Paper 4 there is no geography, ethics hai. Paper 5 again, if you see in the last 10 years, in essay 25 starting from 2014, almost every alternate year they have asked you 125 marker question which is related to geography. 2014 tourism this can be the next big thing. 2016 water disputes. 2018 farming has lost its ability. 19 Asian societies are woven not around polity but around cultural and identities. That is, what group, what tribes, what set of people, how is the region affecting them, right? Then forests, 2022, forest is the best case study of economic excellence. It is part economics, part forest. Forest is ecology environment and the relations of ecology. They come from the soil. They come from the surrounding environment. Next, forest precedes civilization, desert follow them. Forest and desert, if you don't understand what they are saying, you will not understand how they are related to civilization. So, almost every alternate year, they are asking you a essay question also. Now, do you understand the importance of geography in mains? Paper 1, 100, 120. Paper 3, again 40%. Essay paper, almost alternate year you have one essay. And then once you reach your interview, the first question is, where are you from? The moment they ask you where are you from, what are the challenges of your district? What if you become a DM, what will you do in your district? If you don't know your district and your state, you can't answer. That is geography. Right? And if they go into international relation and they go into oil and they go into mineral resources and they go into any geopolitics, that's all geography. Right? So I consider geography to be a pretty much of an important subject. And then if you choose to pick geography as an optional, which is among the top 5 optionals right now, your optional also is geography. Okay, so this is the importance of geography. Can I assume we understand the importance? Right. If we do, then let us move on to the next thing, which is, what is the syllabus of? So, once we are done with this, how important prelims mains interview, the next thing is, what does the syllabus say? Now, please read the syllabus and apply the word that you learned and see whether now you can say more than what the syllabus is saying. Had I shown you the syllabus earlier, you didn't know what was social geography, you didn't know what was economic geography, you didn't know what was human geography, political geography, physical geography. Now read it. What does it say? Indian and world geography. Which one? You understand what is physical? Living and non-living. 2 part. Non-living, land, water, this thing. Living, now separated into general issues of this. So वो छोड़ देंगे हम. We'll focus on non-living. Then social geography, economic geography of India and the world. And this is your second one, ecology environment syllabus. You know this? What does this word mean? Environment, the physical non-living surrounding, that mostly makes an environment. What is ecology? The relation between this and this. And climate change comes from atmosphere. Okay. Now, go beyond this. Read the syllabus of mains and try to figure out whether you can decipher every word. Because understanding the syllabus is most important. If you understand the syllabus, then you can proceed. If you don't get what the syllabus is saying and you think, हाँ मुझे पता है, I assure you half the people don't understand the syllabus itself. Read. What does the first one say? Salient feature. What is the meaning of salient? Salient का एक synonym बताओ. Important. Feature. Now you know what is feature? Those are the formations. But most of the people don't know what features here mean. उनको पता ही नहीं है feature बोलते किसको है geography में. Features are those outcomes. Mountain, plateau, plain, clouds, cyclone. These are features. Salient features of world physical geography. Second, distribution of natural resources. Which one? All resources? Only key resources. Now if I ask you, can you give me some key resources which are useful in your day-to-day life? Metals. Maybe you can name. Iron, copper, aluminium, zinc, tin, lead. यही है ना? Maybe 5-6. Then gold, silver, radioactive minerals, uranium, thorium, and then you have rare earth minerals, what you call as technology minerals. Now they have become important. And then you have lithium and cobalt and nickel. These are the key minerals. What else do you need? यही है ना? They are not going to ask you one element from the periodic table, कोई सा भी उठा करके tell. वो नहीं पूछता UPSC. UPSC asks you which are the key metals, which are the key non-metals, which are the key things from the forest, which are the key renewable resources. They are not asking you every resource. You should not mug up everything. But unless you know what is resource, what is key, you won't understand this. Okay? So key natural resources across the world, including all this. Then factors responsible for location of, you know what is primary, secondary and tertiary? We just talked. Getting the resource, processing the resource, all the services done to do all this. Right? In various parts of the world. Next, important, quick, important, physical, geo is earth, physical phenomena. Now you know what is the difference between feature and phenomena? Yes or no? So they are not asking you here features, they are asking you processes. Which are the important processes? Such as, earthquake is not a feature, it's a process. Volcano is not a feature, it is a process. Tsunami is a process. Tsunami causes things. Okay? Cyclone, process. Cyclone causes outcomes. Right? So this is physical. Next, geographical features and their location. Then changes in critical geographical features. Which is critical thing on the earth because of which we can say earth is critical? Bolo. Give me oxygen is one. What else? Water. Water is critical on earth. That's the only thing that we don't know and cannot find elsewhere. Oxygen भी हम निकाल लेंगे CO2 को break down करके. But water in liquid form you don't find elsewhere. You find it only on earth. So what is the critical, one of the critical features on the earth? Water bodies and ice caps. They are the source of life. Without them, life cannot exist. Right? So this is the importance and flora and fauna and their changes, etc. तो ये हो गया आपका ecology environment में. आया समझ में? And the same ways you have paper 3 syllabus उसी तरह से है. Paper 3 में देखो जल्दी जल्दी क्या है. The 110, 120 marks. Major crops, agriculture, different type of irrigation, services, storage, transport, marketing of agriculture, services, e-technology to the aid of farmers, services, but for agriculture. All of these are services for agriculture. Then issues related to direct, indirect farm subsidies. This is pure economics. Right? Then public distribution, that is also, let us say, economics. Buffer stock, again economics. Then some of the technology missions are related to farming. Okay? So those are there. Then economics of animal rearing. First you have to understand what is animal rearing. Then economics comes now. If you don't know which animals you are rearing, why you are rearing. Then food processing, land reforms, and then infrastructure. Do we get it? So this is broadly your syllabus. Can I assume you understand the syllabus of geography? Right? So you understand its importance, you understand its syllabus. Last comes how to prepare. So how to prepare? We did the first thing. Knowledge, pattern, creating, that is your creativity, answers. So this is what you have to do. First you have to get your knowledge from the book. Then you have to make a flowchart of the pattern, use that pattern and create your answers. That's your creativity. That's where our discussion began. Right? Now, so what is the source of all this? Source का है, knowledge किधर से लाएंगे आप? Pattern तो बाद में identify होगा. What are the sources? These are your basic sources, which I want you to refer. There are 4 NCERT books, 1 GC Leong, and some atlas, and maybe one more book I'll ask. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. Fundamental of Physical Geography. But in this book now there is a catch. The catch is, the book that you should refer should have chapter number 5 as rocks and minerals, not geomorphic process. Geomorphic process as chapter number 5 is a modified book for COVID. So when you're buying your Fundamental of Physical Geography, figure out that chapter number 5 should be rock and mineral. तब आपका book right है. Otherwise it has been reduced for COVID. And the year they reduced that chapter, very next year, UPSC asked the mains question, what are primary rocks? अगला साल पूछा है. Chapter उधर हटा, इधर UPSC ने पूछा. ठीक है? So please don't miss your original book. That is your first. Class 11th. Second is India Physical Environment. That's India Physical Geography. Class 11th. Third is Fundamental of Human Geography. Class 12th NCERT. And fourth is India, people and economy. People is social geography, economy is economic geography. Together, human geography. Right? These are the 4 NCERTs. Now, apart from this, should you read your class 6 to 10th? The ones who are novice to geography, I would suggest jaldi kar lo. Read it quick. Don't spend too much time and maybe make short notes out of it. The things that you think you don't know, write on a piece of paper, move on. Everything that you do in 6th to 10th will come back in 11th, 12th. Okay? So you just have to read it once so that you can understand it in simple language. Because 6 to 10 is simple language. If you can't understand 6 to 10, I don't think that will happen. You people are grown up. I'm assuming none of you are 12th fail and 10th fail. Okay? So you will understand what your class 10th books say, and please read just once, then come back to this and then stick to them. That's it. These 4 NCERTs. The 5th book that I want you to read is called Certificate Physical and Human Geography, G.C. Leong. I want you to buy this 2nd edition, not the 1st. Don't buy the orange one, don't buy the silver one, don't buy the black one. Buy this multicolored one. This is the only one which is revised, latest, and they have revised it for UPSC for the first time. The older edition is not written for UPSC. But that was an excellent book. Even this is an excellent book with modified data to suit UPSC. इन्होंने साफ साफ mention किया इस book में. This book is modified for competitive exams in India. क्योंकि ये इंडिया का book ही नहीं है. G.C. Leong is a Southeast Asian writer. And the book is published by Oxford internationally. But it sells maximum in Mukherjee Nagar and Rajendra Nagar in the whole world. Thanks to UPSC. ठीक है? समझ में आया? So buy this. G.C. Leong, it's an excellent book and it's a must book. There are chapters in this book which are not given in NCERT and UPSC is asking questions, such as, if you ask me, geomorphic processes, not given. Last year's mountain, fold mountain, location question, G.C. Leong. ठीक है? Then lakes, islands, and lakes, islands, part not given in your NCERT. Climate, world climatic region, partly given in NCERT, partly UPSC asked from this. Like they asked a question 3-4 years back, how the monsoon regions of Asia fill the economic needs of around hundreds of millions of people in the region. ठीक है? The answer came from G.C. Leong. NCERT में उसका answer नहीं है. ठीक है? So n number of questions every year come from. Last year the question about Red Sea, no major river, that was directly a line from G.C. Leong. Nowhere else it is given. Nowhere else. On the whole internet it is not given anywhere. That line is only in G.C. Leong. So I would expect you to read G.C. Leong. Don't miss it. And now it has become more important because UPSC is asking conceptual questions. G.C. Leong is stronger in concept than NCERT. ठीक है? So that is one book. And then one more book which I generally recommend is your India Yearbook published by Publication Division, only for data of agriculture, industry, transport, that thing. Just for the data you have to read this because your NCERT data is old. You can pick it from Economic Survey or you can pick it from India Yearbook, whichever. So 2025, next year 26 aa jayega. That will have some more updated this thing. So that will give you how much is the total number of ports and roadways and railways and air and agricultural data and so on. All that you find. Mineral chapter also is given very well. It is given in the industry part of the chapter. At the end of industry chapter of this, you have all the important minerals. Important. वो जो key minerals हमने पढ़ा था वो वहाँ लिखे हुए हैं उन्होंने. So you can get the data directly from there. ठीक है? That's it. That's your NCERTs. And then in the end you pick up an atlas. Atlas, all you have to do is pick a student atlas or school atlas. Student or school. That's it. Of India and the world. Don't pick any other atlas. There are n number of atlases. If you want the best atlas, it is the NATMO atlas. National Atlas Thematic Organization. ऐसा कुछ करके है. Thematic Mapping Organization. That's a government body. They make excellent maps. The problem is they are useless for you. Why? Because they are full of information. So if you want the best atlas, that's the atlas. But if you want a usable atlas, this is the atlas. Pick a student atlas or school atlas By Oxford, Orient, DK, S. Chan, any. But school or student. That's it. So that's it. That's the source. Nothing else. So that's it from my side. I've shared what sources to refer. When you read your NCERT, what should you try to do? You should try to make short notes, synopsis out of it. Kaisa synopsis? Jaisa ki, I'll just show you a very short synopsis. And with that, we can end this session for the day. Right? Something like this. So, for example, this is the synopsis of chapter number 2 of your physical class 6th NCERT geography. Class 6th NCERT geography, chapter number 2. Okay, it's a 5-page chapter approximately. The whole 5 pages come down to this much. That's it. Okay. So I would expect when you're reading, keep a page next to you. I have done it in type format. You can do it in your paper pen format also. That will be more handy and the space will be better utilized. So make a short note. The main words in that chapter are globe, earth rotates, what direction, what is equator, what are tropics, what are polar circles, what is a heat zone, torrid, temperate, frigid, what are longitudes, latitudes, right? And major ones, and the angle divided from 1 degree to 60 minutes, and so on and so forth. That's it. That's the information. The whole chapter says only this much. So the whole chapter comes down to this. Same way you do it for class 6, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Then you come to 11th, 12th. There also you make this or make a synopsis or a flow chart and you keep it. This is the exercise that you have to do in your preparation. Is that okay? Right? And the ones who will be joining, and if I do geography for you, that's exactly the format that I follow. I do not like deviating because we already have ample work at home to do with this only. So there's no need to do anything else. The only thing that you need to supplement all this with is your PYQs. PYQ is the last thing that you need to do in this whole exercise. And maybe before you go, let me show you some of those PYQs. मैंने आपको बताया था कितना 31 question था 36. Just see for yourself and figure out, am I lying or are they not including the right questions? ठीक है, जल्दी से देखो, उसके बाद जाइए. Now जाइए as in you have another faculty session coming after this. So, yeah. See this. I'll just choose 2025 and I'll choose geography questions. I think that's how it is chosen already. Okay. I'll just pick the year. So filter, pick 2025, and here I'll pick geography and environment. 2 set of questions. Okay, and that's it. That's all the selection, right? So now go on checking, count the numbers. Just go on counting the numbers and figure out the geography ones. Rest you can add up yourself. Okay, go and see the questions also yourself, each of them. Is it related to geography or not? The first one says geography. Studies indicate that carbon dioxide emission from cement industries. Do you think it will be related? You just have to get a sense. If it is related, we can move on. You don't have to read the whole chapter, right? So emissions and all. Second one, United Nations climate change. That we have included in environment. See the next one, geography. Scientific data suggests shifting take place in Earth rotation axis. Geography. Next one, Paris Agreement. Environment. That's not geography. Next one, environment. I'm leaving that environment one. How many geography questions till now? 2. Read this. Third one, 2 या 3 जो भी था. Fourth, different types of crops. Geography. Rainforest. Geography. Agriculture activities, poultry, etc. Geography. India has joined Mineral Security Partnership. India is a resource-rich country with all 30 critical minerals. Geography. Circular economy. reduces the emission of greenhouses. First, you have to understand what is circular economy. How do we work with that? How are the resources utilized? Okay, I'm not saying this is only geography. Circular economy also comes in economy, the definition. But how it works, the basic of resources, that starts from geography. Okay, then all these country questions, passing through and all, lakes, largest producer, ancient rocks, dust particles, equatorial polar region, January, water on rocks, atmosphere. I'm just giving you those keywords. Just go on seeing for yourself, right? You will find almost none of these questions. Marginal farmers, manufacturing, then railways, rainfall. Okay. Climate change. Climate change is ecology, environment, not geography, right? And same ways, as you keep going down, ethanol production, peninsular India flooding, all of them, right? Almost all these questions, if you add up, you'll find there are around 31 questions here, and 7-8 additional which go into environment. Some of those environment ones are also in addition. So this is the total number of questions that you find. Okay, though when you see only the most properly analyzed market analysis, they say 13 questions. I differ because I feel even the other questions are related. When you're doing geography, they will come in your course directly or indirectly. That's the relevance. So anything else? Done? Good enough. That's it. Thank you from my side. Right? And wait for a while. The other faculty will come and start the session from here. That's it from my side. Thank you.